Something exciting is happening at Karting North East. Brand new rental carts have just arrived. Today I'm jumping behind the wheel for the very first time to test them out and show you what they're really like. Well, that was a bit dramatic. The new rental fleet at Karting North East might look a little familiar, because they actually are. They're still the same Sodi 390cc karts we've all raced before. The old fleet was starting to get a little tired, and honestly, the gap between the best and the worst had gotten a bit too large. With this new batch is everything we already know and love. Just a brand new feeling again, the handling is sharper, the performance feels more consistent across the board, and it's just much more of an even playing field now. One quick note, the tyres fitted at the moment aren't the usual Duro rubber that we're used to. These new ones are a little grippier right now, but once we've worn them down to the mess, they will replace them back with what we know, so it will be exactly the same. After watching from the sidelines, it was finally my turn to jump in and see for myself what all the hype was about. I'll talk you through the first couple of laps, share my first impressions, and then I'll leave you with the full public session featuring muggles absolutely everywhere. And if you're wondering, a muggle is what we call an arrive and drive racer, the ones that use the track's rental helmets as well as the rental race suits. No offence, we do love you all really. But now that the intro is out the way, let's get down to the action. So we go straight into the race where we do manage to secure pole, however Sam gets an absolute blinder of a start and leaves us for dead. Now this is pretty much the second race these karts have ever done, so some of the tickovers are a little bit high on some, which is flooding them a little bit, which is why I maybe didn't get too much of a good getaway. However, we get back on the bumper of Sam here, so at least we can have a little bit of a play, as we know she is one of the fast ones, so we can get a good judge of our pace and the kart's performance. Now we can see her looking all over to check exactly where I am. Now at least we know we all want the fastest because that's where we're just qualified, so at least we can certainly have some fun and try and put her in some positions, which sounds wrong now that I've said that back, but I'm sure she isn't going to make this easy for me. Now it is so nice having the confidence that the car is going to pick up our corners, so we don't have to try to overforce some moves, lines to actually get out the corners. Now a quick red flag here, in which I'll try to zoom in, see if you can actually see it, but currently someone is lying on the floor. Now they did finish the race, and I want to be selfish and say more importantly, the karts are okay. But as we get on again, we can see Wes is to my right, and we can see one of the muggles decided to ignore all the yellow flags and overtake us all. We can see Marshall tell him to slow down, but then what happens next? Someone goes flying through thinking he's getting an amazing start. So this is your reminder, kids, make sure you pay attention in driver's briefing, because you can cause accidents. But never mind, as soon as it goes green, it doesn't take me and Sam long to actually get the overtakes done. And to be honest, we can't really believe our eyes of what we just witnessed. We can see all the quick finishes on the sidelines cheering me and Sam on, and Wes behind us just to see exactly what's happening. But again, we have no idea what's going through that person's mind. But never mind, it goes green, so at least we can get our foot down and see exactly what we can do. Now one of my favourite things is overtaking, and I can assure you there's loads to actually watch in this video because of a little bit of a scare what happened to that muggle. So back to what I was saying. Yes, one of my favourite things is to actually overtake, and if you do struggle to overtake and where is best, actually watching this video will help you out, because there is so many and there's some interesting positions where I've had to make my way around some of the muggles. And let me know which is your favourite, and then drop the time down below in the comments. And if you haven't already, don't forget to like and subscribe. But back onto this little battle with Sam, we can see she's going extremely defensive, giving her a little bit push down into gasworks, maybe putting her offline and getting a good pull alongside her, see if she was going to look for a wave. However, she didn't. If she's watching this, very disappointed she didn't give me a wave back, but never mind. So we're getting on to, after the horseshoe, get onto the main straight, and again we have a good line out of it. We all manage to pull alongside. She does go defensive, gives us a very long look there. Again, no wave, very disappointed, but we do try to see if we can get around the outside. But this is how close these karts are. Now Sam is a little bit lighter than us, however we can see that I still managed to get that little bit of an edge down that straight. Now this is maybe a little tip for Sam. On the dog leg, it might be worth using a little bit more of the track, so at least you get that better exit out of the dog leg. I know that you mentioned that this might be a bit one of your struggles, so rewatching this back, you might be able to see where you've gone wrong. And in that corner, you just definitely outbroke yourself, which means that I can get you to the white line on exit, put you more offline, and then pull alongside, ready for going up to the chicane. Now there was so many marshals on track which were watching every single curb and everything that we were doing wrong, so we had to be on our best behaviours. Since these are brand new karts, we want to make sure that we look after them the best we can. So there might be times where I don't use my normal line and using a little bit more curb than I normally would, especially on the chicane on the entrance, is I try to avoid doing that because I did get a couple of warnings and I want to make sure that I don't get them, especially on next race day next weekend. So we don't get many laps where it's clean air. I think that we try to line up a lot of the overtakes when we can see so far in front. However, it is quite fun to try to make your way around people when you're not quite sure where they're going to be, since their racing line or their racecraft isn't quite as experienced as a lot of the others. Now what you will notice through this video, which you might be able to see as this goes on, is my lines do change a little. Since the tyres aren't quite what I'm used to, these are extremely grippy compared to the Duro, is that I started to bounce and bog coming out of corners, so I had to change some of my entrances just so I could stop it bouncing. So I might be going a little bit tighter, actually making a corner into a corner rather than trying to keep so much speed going round. You noticed it more on the last corner, so see exactly how my lines actually evolve as this race goes on. Overall, the karts are super consistent now, exactly what we were hoping for. As the engines wear in, they'll start to free up and get that little bit faster. Right now with the tyres, there's definitely a bit more grip than usual. I'm looking forward to when the karts do loosen up a bit more, but honestly everyone's in the same boat, so I will have to adapt either way. Even though the karts are a little bit tight and still getting used to everything, there were so many people actually hitting the 68-second lap times, which was amazing, so we're really looking forward to next race meeting. Now that's enough from me. I will leave you with the non-stop action from this race and I'll see you on the track next time.